President Trump is putting new pressure on House Republicans today to pass the Senate's budget plan. The president posting this on Truth Social, quote, "It's more important now than ever that we pass the one big beautiful bill. The USA will soar like never before."
But several hardcore conservatives tell CNN there's still a no. And still, House Speaker Mike Johnson is planning to force a vote later today. CNN's Lauren Fox is on the Hill for us. So, Lauren, explain this standoff. And so often, the president has pressured some of these Republicans and they've capitulated. Is this going to be different?
Well, we've seen a lot of close votes over the last couple of months that Donald Trump has been able to convince some of these hardline conservatives to flip their votes at the last minute. But that was when we were dealing really with maybe a half a dozen possible no votes. Right now, we are staring down potentially a dozen or more of those votes. And I just talked to two conservatives who were coming out of this Republican Study Committee meeting who are still no's. That's Keith Self and Andy Ogles, who were making the case in Andy Ogles' case that they certainly don't trust the United States Senate. The argument you're hearing over and over again from conservatives is they trust the president, but they don't trust that Senate Republicans are going to make the cuts that they want to see. And let me just backtrack a little bit, because there's a huge discrepancy that House Republicans are working through right now. Their budget resolution requires about $1.5 trillion in cuts. The Senate budget resolution requires $4 billion. And here's the frustrating piece for conservatives.
They haven't put any guardrails on their budget, and yet they've done a one-way ratchet on taxes. So they're fine saying that they'll unlimited tax cuts, but they're unwilling to say that they'll do spending cuts, which is phony math. The Senate has produced a budget that is phony math, and I'm not going to support it.
And in just a couple of hours, we're going to see what transpires on the House floor. Now, it's always possible that if leadership doesn't have the votes, if they don't think that they could get them once they go to the floor, that perhaps they punt moving forward with this until later in the week. But lawmakers don't have a ton of time because they're expected to be on recess next week and the following week. The president clearly wants to get this done sooner than later. So there's a lot of confusion right now on what happens in the next several hours up here on Capitol Hill.
And Lauren, what happens if the budget does pass? Because a big concern for a lot of voters out there is that Congress might have to cut Medicaid benefits and other entitlements to pay for those tax cuts.
Yeah, I mean, this is when the real work begins. And this is actually the point that a lot of Republicans who want to vote for this budget plan have been making to their conservative colleagues. Nothing about these budget blueprints ties our hands in the future. We can have these tougher conversations about where we want these cuts to be. But that is going to be where some of the tension is, because there's a lot of Republican senators who do not want to get involved in strategically and deeply cutting Medicaid. In fact, they're warning that that would be a huge problem for them in terms of ultimately supporting the tax package. So in a way, this discrepancy over cuts on these budget blueprints really kicks down the road a lot of these hard decisions over not just what the cuts are going to look like, but also what tax policies ultimately get adopted. There's a lot of issues that individual senators, individual House members want to see included in a tax bill. They can't afford to do everything. So that's when some of these hard decisions get made. And again, there's not a lot of room for error in the House of Representatives, certainly, nor in the United States Senate, where Republicans control that body.
Yeah. Lauren Fox, live for us. She's working very hard there on the Hill. We can tell she's in the basement. That's how you know that she's working very, very hard.